Hi, my little Calaveras, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm going to be reading you a creepypasta, and it is going to be about a creepy encounter while delivering mail. So if you're ready for this story, sit back and relax, and let's listen to the story together. I've been a mail carrier for almost 10 years now. This isn't a city route, not even a small town. I cover the scattered homesteads out in the steppe, places where maybe 2 or 3 houses are still standing. The people there are old, quiet. Some keep goats. Most barely leave the house. They just wait for the weekly delivery because, honestly, it's the only thing still moving between these homes. I liked the job. The steppe is silent. No one rushes. The road is straight, ancient, worn smooth, and stripped of markings long ago. I follow it like a thread. Doesn't really matter if I'm awake or dreaming. But 3 weeks ago, a point appeared on my route. A settlement called Harvest Hill. I knew for a fact it hadn't been there before. I'd never seen it on the schematics, never heard of the name from other carriers, but the coordinates were there, clear as day. Give it a shot, my supervisor said. Someone subscribed to a paper out there. Just mark it by hand for now. So I went. There was no road. The coordinates pointed straight into a field, like an off-ramp on Route 27. I kept going, maybe 5 more miles, just riding through dry grass. And then I saw a stone. Big, flat, cracked like the spine of some ancient creature. Carved into it were the words, "We are the gathered." That was it. No signpost, no houses, no people. The silence was so deep, I could hear my handlebars creaking when I turned. But about 300 meters past the stone, something caught the light. Glass, I thought. Maybe an old car or a rusted water tank. As I got closer, I saw a window. A single house stood in the middle of the steppe, like something out of a dream. Nothing around it, not even a path. But there was smoke coming from the chimney. In the window, someone had a huge piece of cloth. Not a curtain, just a shirt, draped halfway across the glass. I didn't even have time to come to a full stop. Someone was already standing at the gate. He wore a simple gray shirt, the kind of thing you'd expect from a farmhand. But it was spotless, almost too clean. He smiled wide with a childlike warmth. "You're here for us?" he asked. "Just delivering some mail," I said. He nodded, like he already knew. He didn't even glance at the envelope. "You must be tired. Come in. Joyful Brother will get you something warm." "You're who exactly?" I asked before I could stop myself. "I'm Joyful Brother," he said, like it explained everything. "And you're the guest." "That's nice." A woman was already standing in the doorway. She didn't speak. She just gave a small bow and then turned and walked back inside. It was warm inside. The wooden floor shifted a little underfoot, and the walls smelled like dust, like the place had been around for decades. 3 people were already seated at the table. They were smiling. One of them tapped his fingers on the glass of water, not nervously, more like a rhythm. The other An older man with sun-darkened skin rocked gently back and forth. I sat down. Someone placed a bowl of porridge in front of me. They called it harvest porridge. It was warm. Too warm, considering how quickly they'd brought it. "A guest from the road," said Joyful Brother. "That's always a joy. Right, Silent Sister?" The woman sitting to my right smiled and said nothing. She didn't blink. I only noticed that when she took a sip of water, and even then, her eyes stayed open. I was about to ask how many people lived here, maybe make some small talk, but someone cut me off. "We're very grateful you came," said the one tapping the glass. "Not many folks make it out here anymore. And mail? Well, mail's important." "You knew I was coming?" I asked. "Didn't you?" Joyful Brother looked surprised. "Your letter arrived yesterday." I was about to thank them for the meal and ask how best to get back when Silent Sister stood up, walked to the cabinet, and took an envelope out. She held it out with both hands, carefully, like it was something sacred. "This is for you," she said. It was the first time I'd heard her speak. Her voice was soft, but flat, like a radio announcer reading without emotion. The envelope was thin. The paper yellowed. My name was on it. The handwriting? It looked eerily familiar. Like mine, not always neat, with a slight slant in the R's and the E's. I didn't open it, not right away. "Who wrote this?" I asked. "You did," Joyful Brother said calmly. "But later." The silence changed. It grew heavier. Everyone was still smiling, but none of them met my eyes. "We don't keep names here," he added. "Only letters." I held the envelope for a long time, turning it over in my hands. No one rushed me. Even when I placed it on the table and said, "Can I read it later?" Joyful Brother nodded. "Of course. You're still on the road." The silence wasn't empty. It felt dense. Everyone around the table kept smiling. But I could feel something behind those smiles. Maybe it was just exhaustion. Or maybe whatever they'd been waiting for had already happened. That's when the lightning flashed. A low roll of thunder echoed behind the hills, and almost instantly the rain started. Not summer rain, not gentle. Heavy. Autumn heavy. I walked over to the window. The step beyond the house had vanished. Just a smear of gray grass thrashing against the earth. "Quick but strong," someone behind me said. "The road's useless now." I nodded without speaking. "We have a room," Joyful Brother offered. "You can stay the night. The sun will dry everything by morning, and you'll ride home just fine." "I don't want to impose." "A guest doesn't impose," said Silent Sister, and for the first time I heard something in her voice. Something like sincerity, but strange, like someone who's already said goodbye to you. The room was simple. A bed, an old chair, a coarse wool blanket. I lay down without undressing, just pulled the blanket over me and tried not to think. The letter was in my jacket. I'd tucked it away so I wouldn't have to see it. The sound of the rain hitting the roof was dull and steady, almost comforting. I fell asleep almost immediately. I woke up to silence. Not to a sound, but to a lack of one. The rain had stopped. No wind, no insects. I stared at the ceiling, waiting for my eyes to adjust. Then, far off, right at the edge of my vision, I saw a light. Through the window, just over the grass, beyond the garden, one point of light. Not a lantern, not a car. Something flickered, slowly, like the flame of a candle. I stepped towards the window. The glass was slightly fogged, but I could still see the figure clearly. Someone was standing with their back to me, and they were holding that light. I don't know why, but my first thought was, he's waiting for me. And then another, more disturbing thought followed. He knows I've woken up. I took a step back, and in that moment, the figure turned to face me. But I didn't see a face, just darkness. A hollow space where the eyes and the mouth should have been. I ran out of the room. The house was empty. The table was still set. The food was still there, but all the chairs were neatly pushed in. "Hey," I shouted. "Joyful brother?" No answer. I rushed to the front door. The handle didn't move. The wood was cold and damp, like the door had been fogged up from the inside. I yanked harder. Nothing. I ran to the window. It was shuttered from the inside with these thick wooden planks latched. I tore it open and recoiled. Outside was darkness. Not night. Nothingness. Like the step wasn't even there anymore. Then I heard voices. From outside. Soft, half whispers. Several of them, overlapping, like a song without music. I leaned in, trying to catch the words. They repeated. Guest, letter, back. Guest, letter, back. Then crackling. The first scent of smoke. The wall near the bed darkened. The fire didn't start from below. It was like something had ignited inside of the wood itself. I threw myself at the door, slamming into it with my shoulder. I screamed, tore my jacket, searching for anything. No phone, nothing. The air thickened fast. I coughed and felt the oxygen thinning. The floor creaked beneath me. Then, a voice behind me. Why didn't you read it? I woke up on the floor. My throat burned. I was wheezing like I had been screaming for hours. My mouth was full of dust. My hands were covered in ash. The house? It was the same, but it wasn't. The ceiling had collapsed in one corner. The windows were shattered. The frames ripped out. On the table, cobwebs, dried leaves, and the broken remains of a plate. I stood up slowly, listening. Nothing. Not a sound. The front door was open now, just ajar, like a forgotten cellar. I stepped outside. The sun hung low. The sky was overcast, but I could see it. This was the same settlement, only now it was dead. 3 more houses, all rotting. Walls tilted. Roofs collapsed. No footprints, no smoke, no faces. I walked a few steps. At the edge of the yard, my bicycle, still locked to an old fence post, coated in dust, but intact. I looked back. Nothing moved. Even the grass stood still. I got on my bike and rode away without looking back. On the way back, I tried to make sense of it. It all seemed logical in its own way. I probably overheated, got turned around, found an old abandoned house, went in to rest, maybe passed out, heat, fatigue, sunstroke. Everything else? Just a dream. I mean, I haven't lost my mind, right? When I got home, I checked the map. Harvest Hill wasn't on it, not even in the old printed archives. I didn't tell anyone. I just figured the route wasn't for me. I called the office and asked to be reassigned. They didn't ask questions. That should have been the end of it. But when I grabbed my jacket from the hallway, I felt something in my pocket. An envelope, yellowed with age. I opened it. Inside was just one word, written in my own writing. Come back. And beneath it, the signature. Joyful Brother. Hi, my little Calaveras. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, all the good things. And I hope you enjoyed this story. It was definitely an interesting, did that really happen? Did it not? But then the letter and all that. So I always like stories like this because it kind of makes you think. As always, my socials are linked down in the description in case you want to follow me. And if you have a story that you'd like to submit to potentially be read here, you can always send it to my Gmail. I'm going to keep it short and sweet today. So, with that being said, remember, my little Calaveras, don't let anyone or anything steal your light. Check under your bed at night. And until next time, bye.